NHL Conference Finals, as well as I will be giving a prediction for what I believe is going to happen in the Stanley Cup Final. So let's take a look at how things sussed out. The Colorado Avalanche beat the Edmonton Oilers 4-0, and the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the New York Rangers 4-2. So with the elimination of the Oilers, we have now guaranteed another year in which a Canadian team will not be winning the Stanley Cup, which extends the streak to quite a few years at this point. It's been, I think, like 23, 24 years since a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. So that has been extended. The Oilers were the last hope of Canada there to have the Maple Leaf be the home of the Stanley Cup. Let's talk about this Colorado series, because that's the prediction I got correct, and it's also the one that ended first. I kind of tongue-in-cheek said that I thought the Avalanche would sweep the Oilers. I think my original prediction in that video was Avalanche winning in 5 or maybe 6 games. But then I was looking at the live score update in the video, and I saw this 8-6 game by Colorado. And that's kind of the point where I said, yeah, this is going to be a sweep. And I did say it tongue-in-cheek a little bit. I wasn't wholly committed. Like, I didn't at the time truly believe that the Oilers would be swept, but they were. And just an outstanding, insane performance from the Colorado Avalanche this entire playoffs. Really, they've been amazing. On their run to the Stanley Cup Final, the Avalanche have only lost 2 games, and they've swept their way through 2 series. The only 2 games they lost were to the St. Louis Blues. So they had 2 series now that, I forget who said the quote, but he said, any team playing the Colorado Avalanche is just wasting 8 days of their time. And the Oilers certainly did seem to be wasting 8 days of their time. The closest they got to winning in this series was this Game 4 overtime series, or overtime game rather. But Arturi Lehkonnen has, for the 2nd year in a row, one of those I am intimately familiar with because it came against my Vegas Golden Knights, but for the 2nd year in a row, Arturi Lehkonnen has scored the overtime goal to advance his team to the Stanley Cup Final. So that's a pretty cool stat for a guy like Lehkonnen, who is not really a big name player, and Colorado has just built out a really solid roster. They've made some great depth acquisitions, and Kemper has been playing at a really high level throughout this entire series, throughout this entire playoffs. I think I saw a stat. I don't remember the exact. Let me try and find it really quick. Jesse Granger, McDavid on the ice. Let's see if I can find the stat. Okay, yeah, so that Game 4, this is a tweet from Jesse Granger, who he covers the Vegas Golden Knights, but he talks about hockey in general. Hold on, I'm gonna go open up the tweet, and then I will let's go. I'm gonna open up the tweet and then we'll look and see. Oh, actually, never mind. It was a tweet by Ryan, the hockey guy. Here we go. Oh, it's not full screen. That's awkward. McDavid played 9 minutes, 36 seconds in the first period. McDavid played 9 minutes, 36 seconds in the first period of Game 4. That is absolutely insane. I'm not sure when the last time a player did something like that in the playoffs was, but the Oilers knew that that was really their only bet to get anything going against this just absolute wagon of an Avalanche team. So they rode McDavid hard, and I can't really fault them for that. Yeah, Lehkonnen, just crazy. Here's another interesting stat. Let me pull up this tweet here that I found with regards to the Avalanche. There are 4 instances of a defenseman recording at least 9 points in a 4-game sweep in Stanley Cup playoff history. Cale Makar has 2 of them this year. Cale Makar is rapidly approaching the territory where we consider him the best defenseman in the NHL. And by the end of his career, we may be considering him one of the best defensemen of all time if he can keep up this pace, because he is just absolutely insane. Like, watching Cale Makar and then watching defensemen on other team, it's like they're not even playing the same sport. Just an insane, incredible athlete. Okay, so that is the Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning series. One thing I do want to say is that in my prediction for that series, I said that I thought Mike Smith was going to be the weak link for the Oilers, and that Mike Smith had been playing above his station, but at some point he was going to regress to the mean and crash back down to earth, basically, because Mike Smith has been a career backup. You know, most of his career. He's older. He was playing way better than his averages, and his career shows that he should have been playing. And that really was on display against the Avalanche, especially Game 4. There were some moments where you were just kind of wondering what Mike Smith was doing. He gave up some softies in that series for sure. So that part of my prediction, I think I was on the money with that one. Mike Smith was the weak link there for the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, now let's get into it with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I did not watch as much of this series, it being the East Coast and all that. I just didn't pay too much attention to this series, so I'm not going to have as much to say about it. But I thought it was interesting. The Rangers won that Game 1 in very convincing fashion. They blew out the Lightning 6-2, and they won a tighter game in Game 2. And I think I actually did predict the Rangers to win this series in 7 games, so right off the bat, I was feeling pretty confident about that, and the Rangers were looking really, really good to start this series. But again, I didn't watch this series as much, so maybe in the comments, if you guys were watching, something that you could fill me in on a little bit. But then something just kind of flipped, and the Rangers lost 4 straight games. 4 straight games, which is, I don't even really know how to describe that. That's pretty absurd. And the Rangers only put up 5 points in 4 games. That's really not good. 5 points in 4 games in the playoffs, especially. I mean, like, look at Tampa Bay here. 3 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals. Like, they were getting big, high-scoring games, and the Rangers were just not able to match it. Let's see, a couple things about this series again. This is interesting note about this Stanley Cup final. This is the first time that two teams with non-plural names have ever met in the Stanley Cup final in the history of the NHL. You have the Avalanche, you have the Lightning, but a lot of teams have plural names, you know, like the Bruins, the Kings, you know, there's an S at the end, but first time in history, two teams without an S at the end of their name are meeting the Stanley Cup final. Very interesting. Also, apparently, I didn't see this. Apparently, the Rangers chanted, "Igor is better." The Rangers fans were chanting, "Igor is better," during that game two. And I guess since before that moment, before the chant, Andrei Vasilevsky had a save percentage of 85.5%, which is not very good. But then the games after the chant from Rangers fans, his save percentage went up to 95.5%, an increase of 10% in his save percentage. And Andrei Vasilevsky, I don't think you can really argue that he is not the best goalie in the NHL right now. He's heads and shoulders above the competition when he turns it on. And that leads to this very interesting matchup. Because you have the Colorado Avalanche, I think Colorado Avalanche have a better offense. I think that they have the ability to score more goals than the Tampa Bay Lightning do easily. Maybe not easily, I think it's close, but I think the Avalanche overall do have the ability to be a higher scoring team than the Lightning. But I also think that Vasilevsky is easily the better goalie in this matchup. Kemper has been good, but I just think Vasilevsky's a lot better than Kemper. The little things he does are just way better than Kemper. So I think if you have two high-scoring offenses, but one of those teams is a better goalie at the back, the hard part is I don't think I can really bet against either of these teams. Like, this is the first time in a while that I actually feel like the two best teams in the NHL are actually meeting in the Stanley Cup playoffs or in the Stanley Cup final. Because there's been a few years now where, especially last year at the Canadiens, there's been a few years where it really does not feel like the two best teams are playing each other, and that a better team got lost on a fluke somewhere along the line in the playoffs, because that's just how hockey works. But this does feel like the two best teams are actually playing each other, and this is the matchup most people predicted at the beginning of the year. I think this is the matchup I predicted at the beginning of the year. I think this is the matchup I predicted at the beginning of my first playoff video. And I think I'm going to go Lightning in 7. I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning is probably the best dynasty in the history of modern hockey. I don't really think anybody comes close, and I think they're going to cement that legacy as possibly one of the strongest teams in the history of the NHL by winning a third straight Stanley Cup. And I don't think any franchise in the NHL is as well run as the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, they don't have weaknesses. And I think a lot of other GMs and team owners need to take note of what they're doing and try and figure out how to replicate it. Because I think they are easily the best run organization in the league. And I think they are going to go down as one of the best dynasties in the history of this sport. I think the Avalanche are very good, but I think this series is going to come down to the goalie. So for the Stanley Cup final, my prediction is Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games. Bold prediction, maybe. I've seen a lot of pundits putting the Avalanche as the winner of this series, but I'm going to go Tampa Bay in 7. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What you think about my prediction, what your prediction is for the final, and what you thought about these conference finals that we just witnessed. I'd love to hear any and all of your thoughts in the comments down below, and I try to respond to every comment that I can, but some of them slip through the cracks sometimes, but I do try and be really good about responding to comments, so I'd love to hear it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single day. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.